G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today we're going to be having another look at the Lightning F.6. Now there has been a lot of discussion and a lot of debate as to the performance of the aircraft itself, and from what I've been able to gather, it seems like the Lightning F.6 is performing almost as it should. Now, in this case, that would mean that the Lightning being a so-called bad aircraft, which is probably what the title of this video is going to somewhat resemble, is not down to the plane itself. Well, partially. One of the issues with the Lightning is apparently it underperforms pretty decently at low altitudes. Its low altitude acceleration is a little bit subpar. And this could be the one thing that makes it a little bit bad as a 10.0. It's obviously not a 10.3, and it certainly should not be facing the EJ Phantom and the MiG-21s, well, the SMT and the MF at least. The Lightning is more an equivalent to the MiG-19s, the T2. Things like the F-100, which doesn't quite have the performance of the Lightning, but certainly makes up for that with the firepower and the missiles. The Lightning is actually a good aircraft. It just suffers in a couple of areas that makes it critically against the meta. It doesn't fit the meta because of these certain criteria, and those criteria are two things. Acceleration, which is apparently underperforming according to the Zataris video, which I'm sure a lot of you will have recognized or watched by now, but I'll leave a link in the description nonetheless. The other thing is the weaponry. The red tops are fairly decent, but you can't rush to use them. You have to be really, really cautious with the way that you use them. Obviously, I feel like the radar is also a little bit bugged. I've had troubles. As you can see, the square is not where I want it to be or where it should be. It's sort of off with the fairies down at the bottom of the screen where it should be towards the middle. I don't understand why. Maybe someone will explain that one for me, but I think it's a bug. I think it shouldn't be this way. And if it is, then I'd like to know how to use it properly. So, we're going to come up against an FGR2 here, and the FGR2 is one of the better 10.3s, and in fact, I'll discuss this later, but it shouldn't be 10.3. I'm going to go and fuck it. You know what? I'm going to go and turn fight. I'm going to get myself into a dogfight, and I'm going to get myself some kills, and then I see that a missile has been launched towards me. I shut my afterburners off to make the heat signature a little bit less, and then as soon as the warning goes away, I turn the afterburners back on. I feel like at low altitude, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. And now I see this F-100 accelerating towards me, and I foolishly release a red top. This is a big waste. In fact, it's a huge waste, because the red tops need a little bit of distance, and obviously you can't be in a situation where they're heading towards you and expect the missile to actually hit. I get impatient again, and this time I'm going to probably launch it about here. Again, you need the distance. You need about 1.5 kilometers, maybe 2, for the red top to really show off its strengths. But I'm deciding to be impatient here. And now I've got myself into a low altitude dogfight with an F-100. And you can actually see that this thing does fairly well against the F-100 in a low altitude dogfight. It should be alongside the F-100 or fighting against the F-100 on a regular basis. For me, the F-100 is a very competitive jet for a 10.0. Obviously, that doesn't mean that the 10.0s are, viable in a meta where there's, R60s, but I get a nice reversal because I'm able to bleed so much speed. Now, if that F-100 played a little bit smarter, I would probably have lost the fight there. But I'm down 2 red tops, and I'm down to my guns. So I need to basically go for the gun kills. I can't just willy-nilly go off my missiles, which is something that other jets have a bit more liberty with, since they have literally double the missiles, and in some cases, double or triple the gun time. The English Electric Lightning is a good jet. It's just in the wrong matchmaker, which is kind of the same reason why, for example, when the Hunter F.6 came out, I found it really frustrating. Personally, the Hunter F.6 ended up fighting F-100s, MiG-19s. There was no way around it, and there was nothing that I personally could do, and that for me was frustrating. It seems to be the same case with the English Electric Lightning. We're in a meta that does not suit the English Electric Lightning, and as a result, it will constantly be shafted if those situations that are disadvantageous to the English Electric Lightning appear. That is, things with more than 2 missiles, and things with more acceleration and more energy retention than the Lightning. In the case of the MiG-21s, it can actually out-dogfight them. But in the case of the Phantoms, it can't out-energy them nearly as well, unless of course you manage to damage the engine like I have with this FGR2, quick spray, and that is my second kill. Another really, really important aspect of the English Electric Lightning is the need for it to be as part of a team. There's no solo carrying in the English Electric. It just does not happen. It doesn't have the energy retention for that. However, it is a really, really good bait plane, if you will. It's extremely good at being in a situation where you are at the disadvantageous sort of stage. It is really good for when you're stuck in a rut, if you will. One of those little things that is just really good for is baiting. You can be a really, really good bait for those Phantoms and help your team get some easy missile kills. It's not very fun, but it works. And is it really worth all the suffering? Some would say no, but in some cases, especially if you have good teammates, maybe if you grab a squad, it would be decent fun. Having a little geese at this F4 here, nice easy kill. He's nice and slow. There are some low-hanging fruit that you can take off early in the battle. Some easy missile kills that you can get right off the bat, and some easy things that you can bait for your team. However, there's not much reward in doing that, and so it does become quite frustrating. You don't tend to be the star of the show, much like the SMT and the MF were on release, much like the EJ and the F4E are now. And it is frustrating. However, there are ways to work around it. The way is, quite simply, just to work as a team. There is nothing else that you can do apart from just being a team. And that's kind of sad. So, obviously this isn't really good enough because you would expect that a plane is able to hold its own. Look at the F5 down there. It is able to hold its own simply because it is a decent plane. It has decent acceleration. It has decent energy retention. It has a good turn rate, especially at this battle rating. It probably shouldn't be seeing F4Es and MiG-21 SMTs though. And this is where we get to the crux of the problem. The battle ratings are too compressed. Just as Zatara said at the end of his video, now that we understand that the Phantom is more or less performing as it kinda should, sorta kinda maybe, it's time to look at some more important things in the jet area. And that is BR compression. That is the number one issue right now for top tier jets. Invisible missiles comes at a close second, but battle ratings is the number one issue. The Lightning is a bad plane, not because it is modeled poorly, but because of the battle rating compression. There's no other answer, since we know it's performing well. Or at least, mostly well. So what do we do? Well, I'll tell you what we do. The answer is extremely simple. The F4E, the F4EJ, the MiG-21 SMT, and the MiG-21 MF, as well as the FGR2, all need to go to 10.7 or 11.0. It's plain and simple. They don't belong at 10.3. They don't belong facing 9.3s at all. And anything that does is just going to have a bad time. These things should be 10.7 or 11.0. There's just no other way of saying it. They're too close together. And what this will do is it'll give the 9.3s, the 9.7s, some breathing room. It'll allow them to flourish in down tiers. They won't be getting up tiered as often. They won't be getting turned inside out because some, meta flying plane is behind them firing missiles that they can hardly avoid. F100, prime example. When you're slow, you can't really avoid anything. Just like this CL-13 doesn't really deserve to be in the Matchmaker. This F100, however, played it a little bit stupid. So, not much I can do for that one. However, CL-13A definitely doesn't belong here. This is the main issue. We shouldn't be complaining about the performance of the Lightning because it is, at least at medium altitudes, more or less okay. At high altitudes, a little bit too much, and at low altitudes, a little bit too low. What we should really be focusing on is the Matchmaker and the overall health of the Matchmaker in general. Because this doesn't just affect the Lightning. The F-100 suffers because it constantly has to face MiG-21s. The Hunter F.6 suffers because it can't keep up and it can't dodge 18-20G missiles. Not only that, but other planes will other planes will get added to the battle ratings. The battle ratings will become more and more compressed. And what do you know? We're going to be having a bad time if we allow the compression to continue. We have to push the Gaijin, especially when the next set of battle ratings come. We need to be sure to push decompression further. One of the things that I've thought about quite a lot is reducing the number of vehicles or the number of planes in a top tier jet match to no more than 7. And for me, this is interesting because it gets everyone into a bit more of a historical setting. I don't recall a single setting past Korean War, past maybe Taiwan versus China, that are more than 8 or 9 planes in engagement. They're normally 4-on-4s. Obviously, you don't want 4-on-4s because you might get a 4-man squad against a bunch of newbies. 7-on-7, however, is a lot more manageable. Not only that, but it would free up a lot more space on the maps, and it would also give the chance for planes with 2 missiles to be a little bit more effective. It would also give the individual a lot more weighting in a battle. Carrying would be a lot more easy. And overall, I think the Matchmaker would be enjoyable. Let me know what you think, because that's really important to me. If you think that that was a bad idea, then I want to know why. Because together, this is how we make War Thunder a better game. It's happened before, and we'll fucking do it again. No other words, nothing else. That is all, ladies and gents. The Lightning is okay. You need to work as a team, and the battle ratings around it need to be adjusted. Anyway, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think of in the comments. And of course, you can join the Discord, support me on Teespring, Patreon, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, don't like e-begging too much, but tough times, tough measures. Of course, stay indoors. Don't be a fucking idiot, please. And of course, take care. And I'll catch you next time.